Mike, let's begin with a guy probably all we have to say is his first name. And Notre Dame football fans are going to know who we're talking about. But for everybody, Kirby Lambert, an elite offensive tackle out of the Northeast. You have really done a great job of laying out his talents and his interest in Notre Dame. What is the latest on good old Kirby?
Yeah, the name that we love, Kirby Lambert. Yeah, like you mentioned, this is an elite prospect, number 51 overall player per the On3 industry ranking, number 4 offensive tackle in the country, listed at 6'6", 290 pounds. This is a big boy, is Kirby Lambert from Catholic Memorial in the state of Massachusetts. Here's the latest. He had a rare interview with On3's Chad Simmons on Monday night, and the article went up Tuesday morning. blueandgold.com subscribers, you can read the full article yourself, but I'll give you guys definitely one super interesting tidbit. Lambert said that Catholic Memorial has a very similar feel to Notre Dame, or I should say Notre Dame is similar feel to Catholic Memorial for him, right? He also officially visited Ohio State in June, and he mentioned in the article, Ohio State did not feel like Catholic Memorial. And I think some kids, they want to get away from that, right? It's like, oh, I've been going to Catholic school. Like, I don't want to go there anymore. I get the sense that Lambert was speaking that in a positive thing for Notre Dame, and I think a negative thing for Ohio State. You know, this is a kid who hasn't gone out on the road a ton. His 4 out of state, or excuse me, he's left the state of Massachusetts twice for college visits. Notre Dame and Boston College. Excuse me, Notre Dame and Ohio State official visits. The other 2 official visits were in state, Boston College and Harvard. I get the sense, Darren, that Notre Dame is at the top, and he even said in the article, another tidbit, Notre Dame is the team to beat, quote unquote. I think the better question for Lambert is who's number 2? I think it's pretty clear that Notre Dame is the team to beat for Kirby Lambert. And I like him to make a decision sometime in the next month. So it's looking pretty good for Notre Dame. I mean, it's not done, right? I mean, he could have a change of heart and be like, no, I really want to stay home. I want to go to Boston College or Harvard. Can't believe we're talking about Harvard seriously with the 5-star caliber recruit, but that's kind of where we're at. Like, Notre Dame looks pretty clearly the top school for Kirby Lambert. I think the only thing that pulls him away from that right now is if he has some last minute, I want to stay close to home. Like, that's super important to me. We saw that with Isaiah Canyon, right? Committed to Notre Dame. It was for just 2 months, less than 2 months. And then he decommits out of nowhere because he wants to stay close to home, and 2 days later commits to Georgia Tech. Like, that's the only thing I think where he doesn't end up at Notre Dame. But with recruiting, Darren, you kind of predict the unpredictable. I shouldn't say that. You're nervous about the unpredictable nature of recruiting, but otherwise, I mean, this looks pretty good for Notre Dame. And if the Irish are able to land Kirby Lambert, that is huge for the 2024 class. Like, Justin Scott, sure, you would have liked to have him. Elijah Rushing, some of these, top talent. But you get Kirby Lambert. I mean, this 2024 class, you got the quarterback you want to CJ Carr, and then you get the, Notre Dame's top offensive tackle target on their board this entire cycle. You get him. I mean, what's there to complain about?
And we can almost go a little big picture if Kirby picks Notre Dame. Your guy Joe Alt's going to go to the draft, more than likely. It would be a shock if he doesn't. Blake Fisher has a decision to make. He's a starting right tackle. If he believes he can be a left tackle at the next level, he might stick around and play left tackle. Kirby Lambert's a guy that can play left or right tackle, right? So it gives a lot of versatility to Notre Dame in 2024.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, Darren. You don't often, when you're referring to a high schooler, be like, yeah, I think he could play, or offensive tackle, sure, right? Coming in as a true freshman, you don't often say, I think he could play as a true freshman, especially at a place like Notre Dame. But I've said before, and I'll say it again, I think Kirby Lambert is that type of talent. Now, I don't think you count on him as a true freshman starter. Right. It would be a definite and added bonus. But this would be huge for the future. But yeah, like you said, it could also be a big benefit to the 2024 season as well.
All right, so that's Mike talking about Kirby Lambert. Let's move along to some top recruits who are going to be coming to South Bend at the end of the month before high school football starts. Great time to get some visits done and give us an idea of some of the great talents that might be coming through South Bend.
Yeah, the end of July, really since Freeman got to Notre Dame as defensive coordinator. I'm sure they did something like that before that point. But it seems like since Freeman got here, there's a date at the end of July where Notre Dame has a big recruiting event, and it's mainly geared towards the next class. So players going into their junior year of high school, there will be some seniors, rising seniors. Like I think there's going to be a few Notre Dame commits, but again, it's really geared because that class is mainly finished. Again, they might take 4 more guys in the 2024 class. So it's big unofficial day. It's July 30th for Notre Dame, and I wanted to share 5 names for Notre Dame that will be visiting on that day. Jerome Bettis Jr., again, you can guess who the senior is there. 6'3", 185-pound wide receiver from Woodward Academy. Haven't logged the prediction yet. I have my own reasons, which I can share at a later date for why I haven't yet. But Darren, it's pretty much a formality for my prediction there. I know people are just at the edge of their seats waiting for Mike Singer to put in predictions. It's the most interesting thing in the world. But seriously, I really like Notre Dame to land Jerome Bettis Jr. It's interesting, Darren, like Notre Dame is still looking for that third 2024 wide receiver. They're like, you can project what they're going to do in 2025. I mean, Jerome Bettis, Cooper Perry, Derek Meadows, I think Notre Dame leads for all 3 of those guys, and I think they might actually land all 3, interestingly enough. I've already logged predictions for Perry and Meadows to end up at Notre Dame. I think Bettis is a fairly safe bet, so that could be your 3-man receiver class. But then you could also add Talon Taylor from Chicagoland to that group, the number 58 overall player, number 10 receiver. Maybe Notre Dame takes 4 in the class. It's pretty early to start talking about projected takes. But Talon Taylor will be visiting for that July 30th barbecue cookout event. Again, Bettis will as well. Taylor being in a Chicagoland kid, highly ranked. Notre Dame offered him in March as well as Bettis. You would love to see Notre Dame land this type of talent. Gabe Kaminsky, another Chicago prospect from Nazareth Academy, a 4-star player. Notre Dame in pursuit of him. Listed as 6'3", 215, someone who's, I think that might be an outdated height weight. Like this kid's getting bigger and bigger. Notre Dame offered him in March, and I think this will be his 3rd or 4th visit to campus. So another Chicago prospect to keep an eye on. I think we talked last week or the week before, Darren, about Justin Thurman, a 4-star running back out of Tampa Jesuit. I logged a prediction for him recently. He tells me that he's planning to be, on campus for that date. Former high school teammate of Christian Gray. When Thurman was living in St. Louis before moving to Florida, also knows freshman running back Jeremiah Love really well. So that St. Louis connection is interesting. Again, he's listed as a Florida guy, but this would be a St. Louis pipeline and continuing that for Notre Dame. And then actually, sorry, just 4, Darren. Just 4 of the guys that we have a full list going at blueandgold.com you can check out.